I made this video 13 years ago and it's still getting 1,000 views every single month. I made these videos 8, 9 and 10 years ago, and what do they have in common? Yep, they're still getting views almost a decade later. I've spent the past 15 years growing YouTube channels for brands. First as a social media manager, then as a head of content at one of Europe's fastest growing startups, and then as a CMO with YouTube front and center of my marketing strategy, driving over 500 million views across 5 different companies. And today I want to talk about the surprising things that happen when you start a YouTube channel at your startup, and how YouTube paves the way for a tectonic shift in the way that you do marketing. By the end of this video, you won't only understand YouTube better, you'll also have a roadmap to make it work at your company. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get results like these clients, gaining 100,000 visits to your blog from one day to the next, or skyrocketing lead volume from one breakout video, or ranking on page 1 of Google within 2 days, all because of YouTube. So let's get started by talking about how you're thinking about YouTube, because you might be doing it all wrong. Most marketing leaders look at YouTube and compare themselves to creators, and they see 2 things. They see how long it takes to grow a channel. They see that the creator started 7 years ago in their bedroom and they think it's too much of a long-term play because their CEO wants growth right now. And secondly, they see the creators' big hitters, the videos that have millions of views, and they just want that. They want that viral hit. But if you approach YouTube with this mindset, you ignore a bunch of advantages you have as a startup that creators simply don't have. Think about it. A creator starts here and builds their distribution. They build their audience so that they can monetize it in the future with memberships and online courses and so on. But as a startup, you're already here. You have a product, you're monetized, and now you need that distribution. You need the audience to help you grow efficiently. But by virtue of starting here, you have something the creator doesn't have, and that changes your approach and your strategy completely. So what is it? It's dead simple. It's other marketing channels, it's a mailing list, it's infrastructure. And the simple fact that you have other channels means that YouTube doesn't have to only be a long-term play. It can also have immediate short-term results. So let me explain. Number 1, YouTube is a marketing multiplier. So to reference those creators again, when they're growing channels, they'll often mine YouTube as a data source. They'll find out what's working for those creators in their niche and also those creators outside their niche, and adapt those concepts to themselves, giving their own unique angle on a proven concept. That should also be one part of your approach, but you also want to mine all the other marketing channels you have as data sources. So, for example, which blog articles are working well for you? Which messaging in paid ads performs best? What do your customers say in onboarding surveys? What are their key pain points? All these are not only departure points for your ideation, they're also destinations for your videos. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a really simple example that you're probably gonna find kind of surprising. Now, Callum and I used to work at Foundry, which back then was the largest online bootcamp in Europe, transitioning people into tech roles like data analytics and UX design. So obviously a keyword like what is data analytics was pretty valuable. We had a blog article that was ranking well that we then converted into a YouTube video, and that video has almost 2 million views now. And now not only does Career Foundry have a top ranking article for a mega valuable term, they also have a video and they also get surfaced in the AI overview. And as if that's not enough, they also dominate the video search tab. The day that that video got embedded in the article jumped a few positions on the first page, and the video gained in views and average watch time from the blog. So both the article and the video benefited from this kind of symbiosis, basically from day one. Now that's just one example, but you can see similar effects across every other marketing channel. Drip funnels that convert better when they're supported by video, webinars that reach a broader audience when they're streamed to YouTube Lives, influencer campaigns and brand partnerships that suddenly become possible because of an established YouTube presence. So that's the first reason you should start a YouTube channel, because it can support your entire marketing operation even in the short term. Everything starts from this question, and this should be the first question you ask. How can I best leverage YouTube to benefit every single marketing channel I have? And then the second question is, how can I then build a channel that can also stand alone as an engine for growth? Point number 2, long-term strategies have long tail results. Now, if you're a marketing leader, you'll know that the most difficult thing to do in marketing is to balance the long-term and the short-term. You need to hit numbers month on month, which incentivizes short-term tactical initiatives. But at the same time, you need to invest in channels which will build moats and grow brand awareness and deliver organic traffic. All those things which ensure efficient growth in the future without simply ballooning costs. I used to spend €1 million a month on ads when I was at Babbel, sometimes literally all by myself, often sending over 10 million paid visits to our website. And I'll be honest, that used to freak me out. So I'd always ask myself this question, often in the middle of the night: what would happen if I turned it all off? Would people ever find us? How long would it take for people to simply forget that we exist? Now, a truly healthy company is one where people come to you, where you don't always have to be getting in their faces, literally or digitally. And that's why I've prioritized content at every single company I've worked at. And that's why I can show you the decade-old videos that still drive results without the companies having to spend a cent. So that's the second reason you should start a YouTube channel: for longevity, for efficiency, for making sure that you're building your company on rock and not on sand, to get a bit biblical for a moment. Basically, don't build a startup that can get turned off. Point number 3. YouTube is a stepping stone to go from scrappy startup to established brand. Now, I think this might be a little bit different in Europe to the US, but startups here are just obsessed with performance marketing. You'll hear marketers say with pride, "The ugliest ad we've ever produced is the top performer, so we just run with that." Now, market orientation is a thing, right? Some brands can be built on ugly, but for most companies, you'll want to see an evolution from the $10 out, $11 in kind of arbitrage of performance marketing towards something like a more known and trusted brand. What does that look like in reality? Let's do a little experiment. I'm going to say 3 words, and you say the first company that comes to mind. Let's start with an easy one: shopping, holidays, and language learning. You probably thought of Amazon for shopping, Airbnb for holidays, and Duolingo for language learning. And that's the power of brand, the immediate first association. It removes one order of thinking. You think, I want to go on holiday, I need to find an Airbnb. I want to learn a language, I'm going to download Duolingo. For every American company that built a brand, there's a European company that put all its eggs in the performance marketing basket and now plays second fiddle as a result. It's Vimdo versus Airbnb, and it's sadly Babbel versus Duolingo. But for startups, this shift from performance to brand orientation is often incredibly painful because performance is just in their DNA. Everyone from the junior performance marketing manager to the CEO just can't let go of the illusion of certainty that performance marketing provides. So the brand team end up playing to the same rules as performance, or are just liberated entirely from any measurement of their work. And in both instances, they're basically destined to fail as soon as company performance dips. So how do you make this transition gracefully? The answer is content. The answer is YouTube. Why? Because creative value-adding content can be deployed both organically and as paid creative. Say you have a video which has performed moderately well organically, perhaps you've gained 20,000 views in the past few weeks. What happens if you leverage that same video as an ad on YouTube? Well, you'll see a great CTR, minuscule costs per view, and insane reach, which means awareness will begin to skyrocket. And here's the magic. If the video is performing moderately well organically, you'll be able to justify the ad spend with a blended CPA for the piece of content, which will probably be ultra competitive when compared with your paid ads. So that's the third reason you should start a YouTube channel: for maturity, to make that switch from a scrappy, performance-driven startup to an established brand, and to do it gracefully. Now, this point was all about the marketing philosophy, performance versus brand, and the transition from one to the next. But to realize this transition, you're going to need people, even in the age of AI. So let's discuss that in point 4. How your YouTube team will unlock growth across your company. The minute you commit to YouTube as a channel, you need to start building the team. And that team is going to need to cover a lot of areas, from research and strategy, scripting, production, editing, thumbnail design and distribution, and analytics. And not only that, then you're going to need someone to actually be in the videos. Now, that sounds like a lot, but there's a good chance you can find 2 or 3 generalists who can get you started. One to take on the research and concept work and perhaps be the face of the videos too, and the other to handle production and post-production. These hires aren't just opening your door to YouTube, they're also your first step to having an in-house creative team that can work across ads, social, product demos, basically any video content you need. And this levels up the potential of your marketing team enormously. You strengthen those foundational skills like how to structure a piece of content, you get sharper at messaging and storytelling, and you build out workflows for scripting, shooting, and editing that could be repurposed to any area of video. In my experience, this is the key step to becoming a media company. And exactly that should be a goal for just about any startup. Become the media company for your space, for your ICP. Be where they go for education, for inspiration, and even for entertainment. This is exactly what we achieved at Career Foundry, becoming that first touch point on both YouTube and Google search for anyone at the beginning of their journey into tech, whether it's a web developer, data analyst, digital marketer, product manager, or UX designer. And the team that ushered in that new era for us was the YouTube team. Now you can imagine startup growth on YouTube and pretty much all the other socials as a series of circles of influence. The first circle is your personal and professional network, so friends, colleagues, competitors, investors. This is your affinity audience, your homegrown audience. Here you're probably just posting about hires, product releases, and perhaps a little bit about the industry itself. Next up, we have the product audience. That's your first customers, your prospects, and maybe a few die-hard fans and early adopters. And then it gets interesting, and this is where the transformation begins. This is the value audience, which consists of people who have no relationship with you and may never buy from you, but follow you and amplify you because your content delivers enough value all by itself. And to make this shift from product to value, you need to make that valuable content. Again, educational, inspirational, and entertaining. And to make that valuable content consistently, you need this content function or this content team in place. Now, this is a good place to be. You can build a good home here, but there is a circle beyond this where you have some cultural sway. You begin to affect, maybe even define the way an industry or a niche develops. You become part of its fabric. You shape the conversation. Duolingo is an example of this, but to bring it closer to home, vidIQ is a great YouTube native example. Head to their channel page and sort their videos by oldest, and you literally see their progression from this homegrown audience, this affinity audience, to product audience, to value audience, and arguably to the culture audience. And you can even see how the team expands to enable it. So that's the fourth reason for building a YouTube channel. You build the content muscle that's necessary to become the media brand for your niche. Now for the final point, let's just stretch this line of argument out to its logical conclusion. Point number 5, you attract better talent without really having to make an effort. So this has been my experience at every single startup I've worked at. Every candidate who makes it to the interview stage has watched a bunch of our YouTube videos. They've got a sense of the culture of the company. They know the names of half of our fellow employees, and they may even be a little starstruck at the prospect of being interviewed by one of our resident YouTube stars. And all of those things, the culture, the employees, the approach, they're all painted in a positive light in our videos. The culture looks fun and dynamic, the employees look like they get on, and while the hard facts of compensation, benefits, and workplace flexibility consistently rank as the key factors in a candidate's decision for a company, they're closely followed by company culture and values. So the simple fact of your reach within an industry doesn't only open up the top of the funnel for customers, it does it for potential employees too. So there we have it. Reason 5, you're setting yourself up for success by ensuring that the good candidates come to you as you scale the company. So let's just take a quick look back at why every startup needs a YouTube channel. Number 1, a YouTube channel can deliver rapid results if you leverage it to support your other marketing operations. Number 2, any video you produce today can continue delivering value years into the future. Number 3, it helps you navigate the tricky transition from performance-led startup to established brand with grace and aplomb. Number 4, you build the content muscle that's necessary to create a media brand. And number 5, you set yourself up to hire the A players in your industry. And I know A players is an awful term, I apologize. Anyway, hit subscribe if you learned something new and want to stay in touch, and I'll see you at the same time next week. Look after yourselves and each other.